Hello, I'm Richard Raffan, and in this video I'm going to show you how I turn this flitch of box elder into bowl blanks, or turning blanks anyway. So the first thing I want to do is to just take the bark off the edge here, just to get back to some kind of solid timber, and remove the end here where it's very thin, so I'm not going to get anything out of that at all. So start up with that end. Slight gap there while I let the saw run down speed. Now at the end of the blank, this is the original rough end. There don't appear to be any splits, but it pays to just take a thin slither off. I can see little splits down here, so I would lose at least kind of 15 mil, half an inch off that. So the thing to do, I like to have blanks which are free of splits. I never see any point in working a defected blank. So first thing I do is to check that end, is to cut this off. Now, if you cut a piece off and you can't bend it, then there are no splits in it. If there are any splits, you'll open them up. So, that means on this blank I've got, it's down to about 20 mil, 3/4 of an inch here, and it's got a reasonable depth there. Now, the blank is going to be round, so the next thing is to do a disc on that, and then I'm going to turn this on the end and cut. Oh, in fact, I can do that now. Just take the bark off first, so I get down to a plank. So we have this now on the side, so I'll be cutting into end grain. I could cut that way, but it's a deeper cut, so better not. Easier this way, so I'm just going to pass this through the saw like that, only I'm going to do the other way around, so you won't actually see the bark slither coming up. So this saw is the last of the models. I think Laguna made of this model without a foot brake, which is probably why I got it at a bit of a discount. But if you haven't got a foot brake, this saw can take about 40 seconds to wind down. So what you can do to slow it up is to run a block of wood into it and then just lift the block slightly, and that will basically squeeze the blade and bring it to a halt. And that's much safer than leaving the blade running, because this saw's pretty quiet when it's not cutting, and it'll be very easy to remove a finger, I think. I can draw a circle, and I use dividers so that I've got a nice mark where the centre is, and that means when I come to put this on a screw chuck, I know where to drill the hole. So that's that bit done. Now, the other blanks, I've got another little bowl in there, so I can just cut that out. I don't really have one in the other side. There's a bit of a knot there which comes through to there. I'll give it a go though. Oh, it's going to be a bit bigger than the other one too. Just trying to keep my fingers away from the blade. And that one's quite small, 80 mil, but just over 3 inches. Just leave that square. Just a little bit too dangerous cutting that one. That can go out. A little bit like this, I can probably get some small blanks, yep, just the right size for my little salt scoops. That's one option. Well, the other option is that I'm going to take the bark off anyway, so I'll do that, and there might be some ball blanks in there too. That's mostly going through sap, but there's enough there that so in that case I can get 2 discs out of that, just 1 and 2, or I can cut it, again cut a 20mm thick piece there and then turn that into those, in fact. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so say at least 6 of those, who in a commercial terms, with these selling, little scoop selling at about $12 each to me, then there's potentially over $50 sitting in there commercially, as a commercial enterprise. So I'll just leave that block as is for the moment, and oh, I've got a hole in the end there, so I'll cut that off. And with stuff like that, on the smooth side, and put the month on it. Anyways, it's about to be August, so it's the 31st. Whoops, 31, 7, 22. So that tells me when it was sawn. It's green timber. It was growing probably a month back, maybe 6 weeks. So that just goes aside, and I don't anticipate that would crack up or anything, and it'll be dry enough to use probably in another 6 or 8 months, especially for the little scoops. So I'm left out of that with a little bowl blank, and I'll just drill a hole in that in the middle, then it can go onto a long nose jaws. This one will go onto a screw, and I'm going to rough turn them all, just so that the wood can do its thing. It's box elder. I don't expect it to warp very much. Now I thought you'd like to see these 2 being roughed out, so going on to, I've drilled a little recess with a Forstner bit. All I need on this is a foot, and always do these with a 1/2 inch shallow gouge. Brown first. Get a little kind of ring bowl or something. That's all we need at this stage, and then they can go around. These jaws aren't quite right for it, so I'll just swap them over for some small sharp jaws. This is on the Vic Marchuk. Still use the 1/2 inch spindle gouge. little catch at the end there, which isn't a big deal in this situation. Get to the bottom of the depth quickly, and then you know where the rest of the cuts are. Oh, should do that. And then those will go back on the lathe when they're a little bit dry onto this chuck, I expect. So I'll get this one off and came off its insert. So these chucks come with an insert. Well, this particular chuck does. So you can take that out and put it on another lathe if you want to. Here's a homemade screw chuck on a 6-inch faceplate. 150mm faceplate. The blank. The still have a 12-14 wood screw in there, so I'm just going to get a starter holder. What I always used to do before the modern chucks came along. It's so much faster. Right, so this is going to be a 9/16 spindle gouge. It's actually designed really exactly for this job. Get that round from there. Just need to know where the bark is. So it's a fair amount there. I don't really want a foot that size. I want to have the foot slightly, just very slightly small or slightly larger than the diameter of the chuck, I think. Where are we? Oh, it's just in about there. So that's where the foot's going to be, so I'll cut that. And then basically remove the bar. Oops, right. So that's just spun on the screw. Something's spun. More gently. Bark irritating me all the way around there, so I'll just heave that off and then I can feel when it's all gone. So I've really got to go down quite a bit more here. And end up with a fairly thin plate. Right. So something's slipping in there. And I think it's the screw, not the screws gripping the wood. that's going to be irritating job. I'll have to unscrew it from the back. You never know what you're going to see on these videos, do you? So I get a nice bit of screwdriver, and well, it's going to have to it doesn't want to undo either. Anyway. Right, that's going to need attention. I'm going to have to screw that in tighter and probably set it with epoxy or something. At the moment it's just screwed through. So some dovetail jaws, and these are about 130 mil. I think it's about 5 inches. So I could possibly leave this just to dry as is, but I'll take a little bit out. Right, I'm getting wet. There's a little spray coming off this. Right, so that's now down to about 20 millimeters or so, 3/4 of an inch. There's a little knot up there that might well split. Anyway, that will get a date on it, and 31/7/22, and I'll turn that off, finish that off in another 6 months or so when it's dry. So that's that for the moment.